Creations. I just have another video for you. And again, it's going to use the Blossoms and Blooms stamp set that I showcased earlier. And I'm just going to show you this stamp set here, or this stamp here, and just kind of give you an idea of what that looks like. So this is one of our distinctive lines, which means that it's intended to look more realistic. So just want to kind of show you what that's going to look like and how you would actually stamp something this large on a card front. So what I've done is I've actually like to do this on my Stamparatus. I love my Stamparatus, and especially for big items like this, it's fantastic. So what I've done is I've taken my cardstock and I've sliced it down so that it would fit onto my, I have Magenta Madness, and then I have a piece of Granny Apple Green, and then I'll have my Whisper White on top, okay? So that's how my card is going to lay out. So what I like to do with my Stamparatus is I like to kind of mark where I want my cardstock to go, just in case it gets moved around, or I kind of forget what I'm doing and forget where I've lined it up. I just like to have that marked for me. And I'm going to use my magnet. I'm just going to put that in the top right hand corner, because the stamp will be super sticky because it's one of our photopolymers. So what I do is I basically will line this up onto my cardstock where I want it to lay. So I want it to be roughly about there, like this. Oops, it's sticking to my finger. There we go. Hang on, see it? So it shifted on me. And it's gonna go off my paper just a smidge, but that's okay. I don't mind that. So then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna close this up. I'm just gonna gently press down just to adhere my stamp. And then I like to kind of lift it up because it's going to stick to my paper. Because like I said, it's going to be very sticky because it's our photopolymer. So I'm just gonna line this back up just to make sure I'm positioned in the right spot. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna actually bring in my Magenta Madness ink pad, which I have not used. This is my very first time using it, so it's going to be crazy juicy. So I'm going to actually take my stamp set. I like to do this when I'm using my Stamparatus because I find it's the right height. I like to put a stamp set underneath my plate, just so that I'm not pushing down and putting some pressure on my hinges there. So, and of course I'm going my ink pad to my stamp, which is probably against everything you've ever learned. And I'm just going to ink this up as best as I can. Just the lighting here is not the best, so I'm just trying to make sure I haven't missed any spots. So you can see how juicy and crisp that is. So I'm just gonna move my stamp set out of the way. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm gonna push this down. So if you're doing multiples of these, which I did do earlier today, it's fantastic. The Stamparatus is seamless. So it's, your biggest thing is just making sure it doesn't stick to your paper. So you can see how beautiful that is. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna remove that. I'm just gonna move my Stamparatus out of the way for just a second. I'm gonna bring this back in here. So now my flowers need some centers. I'm gonna close up my Magenta Madness. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna actually bring in this part right here of my stamp set, and that's gonna act as the center of my flower. So I just need to locate it. Here it is. And I'm gonna actually do this in Granny Apple Green, which normally I would do it in a brown or something like that, but because I have Granny Apple Green in my card, I'm going to go ahead and do that as the center instead, just for something a little bit different. Okay, so I'm just inking that up with my Granny Apple Green, and then I'm just going to put those into the center of my flower. Now these aren't intended to be perfect inside your center, that's the beauty. You can try, but they will not line up perfectly, and that's okay. That's an awesome beginner stamp because there's no, there's really no right or no wrong. So you can see how my flower is coming to life here. It's really pretty. So then what I could do is I could bring in some leaves to add to my flowers if I wanted. So I could take these leaves here and maybe just add a little bit of those. I'll take this one here. And I'll do that in Granny Apple Green, just to keep the colors consistent. Just gonna wipe that off. So I think what I'll do is I think I'll put one, I'm doing this upside down so it's a little challenging. Let me put one here. And so I love stamps that don't really matter if they're perfect or not. Takes all the stress away. And we'll add maybe just one more here. I feel like it needs something here in the center. There we go. And maybe one more. And then we'll stop, because I think what will happen is I think you'll find that I'm going to over stamp here and get too many leaves. So there we go. I'm going to stop right there. Now what I could do is actually bring in a piece of black cardstock to put a verse on that, but I think what I'll do is I think I'll leave that for now. What I am going to do is I'm going to bring in our new Stampin' Seal. I don't know if there's much left on this roll. I've been using it quite a bit. So the Stampin' Seal actually replaces our snail. And if you've used snail, you know that it sometimes would lift because of humidity. And with Stampin' Seal, you don't need very much. That's actually probably too much. And so I really could have just done some in the corners. So I'm gonna go ahead and put that down there. And then I'm going to, yeah, I've been using this quite a bit, so I'm probably getting to the end. So you'll notice it is a little bit more expensive than our snail was, but you do get a lot more in a roll as well. So there you go. So there's your finished card. So I could add some Wink of Stella to that just to dress it up a little bit, and then add my sentiment if I wanted. I'm going to leave this one just plain so that I'm not committed to any specific theme, but I think those colors are really bright and cheery, so I think this would make a really great get well card or thinking of you card or something like that. So hopefully you enjoyed that, and hopefully this will make you look a little bit closer at this Blossoms and Bloom stamp set, because I think some people find it a little bit overwhelming because they're not sure what to do with it. So hopefully that gives you some ideas, and you'll enjoy it. Okay, thanks for joining me today, and I hope you're having a great day. Thanks, guys. Bye.